Welcome to Dog Life Radio.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Dog Life Radio, episode number 44, and I am your host, Rossi Giugio. Thank you so much for joining us today here. We've got ourselves the long-awaited, long-overdue third episode, or third part to that trilogy that we called Building a Healthier You. The first two were episodes 38 and 39, respectively, of course. We started off back in August on those two. What I did was I introduced a concept called A plus B equals C. A is the lifestyle in which you live. So it's kind of made up of the sleep that you get or don't get, all of the planned activity and exercise that you're doing, along with that non-planned exercise, all the additional movement. All of that is your lifestyle, all of those activities. And then you add into that your nutrition, which is what I get to jump into today. It took us 2 episodes just to get through the lifestyle. Today we're going to talk about nutrition. We talk about goal setting, doing all of those things that are absolutely necessary for you to build a healthier you. It all comes together now. Anyway, it took me a little bit to get to this one, but I am very eager to jump into the subject matter. This is a great one. We talk about all of the different ways you can attack nutrition plans, diets, fads, trends, the apps that you can use to track your macros, micros, all that wonderful stuff. But before we go there, we are going to take a quick pause. We want to run our favorite commercials for our absolute favorite sponsors, Death Wish Coffee. And yes, they are the best coffee around. And we'll be right back with the podcast you should be listening to, and we will jump into building a healthier you.
Whoa, how did we get on this podcast?
I'm not sure, but I like it here.
It's pretty great, but we should probably tell everyone about our own podcast, Fueled by Deathcast.
Hell yeah. Comes out every Thursday from the Death Wish Coffee Company, the world's strongest coffee.
Every week you can hear me, the Incredible Jeff.
And me, the amazing D-Man.
And we talk about new science discoveries, breaking news from Death Wish Coffee, and we welcome a special guest from rock stars to astronauts and ask them all the question, what fuels you?
The podcast is available right on deathwishcoffee.com and wherever podcasts are found, including iTunes, Google Music, Stitcher, and more.
Plus, you can now watch it live on the Death Wish Coffee Company page on Facebook and watch all our videos over on YouTube.
All right. Now you know all about Fueled by Deathcast and how you can listen to it.
But first, let's finish this podcast.
Let's get back to the show.
Now's part of the show where I get to remind you that you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Dog Life Radio. And if you are such a diehard fan of the show, remember, you can now get merchandise. That's right, Dog Life Radio merchandise. Just go to sixsquirrelstudios.com and check out the store. That is 6, squirrel, singular, SQUIRREL, studios.com. When you get there, take a look at the upper right-hand part of the screen, and you will see the Six Squirrel Studios store. Check it out. You can get t-shirts, stickers, hoodies, all kinds of cool stuff. So get your Dog Life Radio merchandise there. And lastly, not only do I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the show, remember to subscribe or follow, depending on, I guess, whichever podcasting service you utilize, but also drop me a rating on iTunes. Hit me up with a 4 or 5 star rating. It's the best way for people to hear and find my show. That's aside from you guys spreading the good word. And as always, don't be shy about sending me some feedback at dogliferadio@yahoo.com. Thank you. All right. And we're back. And before we jump into the podcast that you should be listening to, please remember to visit our sponsor, Death Wish Coffee. They do offer 2 of the very best coffees that are on the market. In fact, they are my absolute favorite. Let's see, they've got the Valhalla Java, which is a little bit more mild, and then the signature flagship roast, which is darker and bold. Death Wish Coffee, the strongest coffee in the world. I think that's actually true. Anyway. the podcast you should be listening to this week, I'm going to go back to probably one of the most famous podcasts on the market, Joe Rogan. He recently launched his MMA show. It's on the same feed as his Joe Rogan Experience. Episode 47, he brings on Tyson Fury. So the reason why I think that this is a fantastic show for you to listen to is it's not just about boxing and combat sports. It's about Tyson's his personal battles with depression, what he went through the peaks, the valleys, the highs, and the lows, as well as his battle with substance abuse. It's a really interesting story. He is quite a character. Even if you are not a fan of boxing, give a listen to this show. Really interesting stuff and a lot of fun too. So anyway, Joe Rogan Experience, the MMA show number 47. Check it out. And without further ado, here is Building a Healthier You. All right, thanks for joining me again here. We are just now getting to Building a Healthier You. This is part 3, episode 38 and 39. Dropped those earlier this year in 2018, year of our Lord, or yours. Anyway, those first 2 were introducing a concept, and we were talking about how to actually break down the science of improving yourself, optimizing yourself, building a healthier body. So it's the way that I broke it down is into 2 segments equal your results. Your lifestyle, how you act every day and every night, plus added on with your nutrition. Anything that you put into your body, anything you eat or drink, equals your results. That's you. A plus B equals C. So it's as simple as that. In episodes 38 and 39, I spoke about lifestyle, which really is your sleep patterns, how much you're getting, when you're getting your sleep, that type of a thing. All exercise, training programs, and so forth, as well as movement, which the reason why movement is spiked out separately is because there's this interesting theory and this interesting piece called non-exercise activity, and that is a huge factor of the amount of calories that you burn in a day. So anyway, I talk about those things in 38 and 39, episodes 38 and 39. Today, I get to focus on nutrition. Sorry it took so long to get back to you on this one, but in the meantime, I had a chance to talk to some fantastic people that had great areas of expertise in all of these spaces, like Jason Leenertz, Sarah Ashman, as well as Dr. Corey Patrick and Justin Quickwad Sutherland. So we talked about a lot of fantastic things in the interim. So hopefully you enjoyed those episodes. But now we're going to jump into nutrition. So what do I mean by nutrition? I mean everything that you eat and or drink. So the cup of Death Wish coffee that I'm sipping on right now, that counts. But it's everything. It's the food is everything. You know, the sandwich, the steak, the chicken, the rice, the potato, the fast food, the hamburger, whatever it is, as well as any supplements. I break them into those two segments just because I feel like it's easier to digest. No pun intended. It's easier to digest when we break them apart that way. Supplements are called supplements because it means in addition to. So we're going to start with food. Food should be your base. I've spoken about this with a number of different people over the years of this show. Christmas Abbott, we talked about supplements there, as in addition to had a great conversation with Scott Reed about the same thing, strongman from the United Kingdom. So there's a bazillion supplements out there. It's easy to get lost in the weeds and trying to fill all of the gaps in your nutrition intake plan. But let's start to plug those things with food. So anyway, let's jump into it. So I hate the term relationship with food. I cannot stand it when people say, I have a poor relationship with food, or I'm changing my relationship with food. It drives me up a fucking wall. Relationship. The way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected. So maybe it could fit into that definition. Connected. Let's focus on that. On the state of being connected. Or the state of being connected. The way two or more people or organizations behave. There is also a definition of an emotional or sexual association between two people or more. that's the definition of relationship. It implies a bit of two-way. Now, I understand that when you eat, it has an impact on you, and that could be construed that way. But I can't stand it. It makes me nuts. Food and supplements are fuel for the body, inanimate objects. Do you have a relationship with your couch? Okay, it's not a controlling factor on your body and it's not a controlling factor on your future. We should be in control. You should be in control, not the food, not the couch. I mean, really, put it in that perspective. We need to first take control. We need to own it. You need to own your nutritional plan, your diet, your food, your intake. Own it. Don't say it's a relationship because it implies that food has control over you. You need to pirate your life back. Tate Fletcher. Thank you, Tate. Stand up and fight. Scott Reeds. Whatever your saying may be, your mantra, just don't become a servant of food. That's me. That's from Rossi Giugio. Don't become a servant of food. You don't have a relationship with it. You own it. You control it. You do what you want to it. When you have your car, you put the fuel in the car then operates. Food is fuel for your body. Yes, there is definitely this emotional connection, meaning different cultures, different families, different people all have these rituals, if you will. Thanksgiving is coming up as I record this right now in late October. There is an emotional connection to Thanksgiving where I sit around the table with my family and we have a big meal. I get it. I know there's comfort food too because it comforts you emotionally, but we need to make that disconnect. It does not comfort you. Your mind is in control of these things, so don't become a servant of food. I know it's very, very difficult. It's easy for me to say, and I can't say that I've mastered that one myself. But just as a starting point, you don't have a relationship with food. Food is just a tool at your disposal. It's there for you. You want to live a certain type of a life, then you act a certain way, you sleep a certain way, and you eat a certain way and drink. Kind of makes sense? Yeah, I thought so too. Okay, so talking about diet plans, just the term diet plan actually has this really weird negative connotation, meaning kind of you're cutting things out. I know at least in my world, the people that I speak with, that I'm associated with, kind of feel this way, where when you hear, oh, I'm on a diet, so I can't eat that. That's not necessarily what they're thinking and what they're implying, but there's that connotation with it. Think of it in terms of a nutritional protocol, a program, a regimen. It feels a little bit more scientific. Treat your body like that highly performing machine that it is. This scientific biomechanical experience. That's what you are. Treat it that way. So think about it in terms of it's my nutritional program. It's my diet program. It's the protocol that I'm following right now. And there's a ton of them out there. It gets kind of mixed up with marketing in a heavy way, meaning how many Instagram or Facebook posts and pictures of these sexy models talking about they can get you to lose so much weight in so much time. The different names, and these go back before social media. I mean, the names of these diet trends, Atkins and Zone, the low carb, a balance, the ketogenic diet, which is, the rage now. There's a ton of these things out there. It's very easy to get sucked up into the marketing. Word of caution: you just can't get sucked into that Instagram mentality. Just they sell it to you with pictures of abs and ass, and then they loop you in. So it's very easy to, but they don't focus on what's really, really important. Now, I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying I'm painting with a broad brush here. So as you start to talk about diets, what are the best ones? What is the best nutritional plan for me? Well, maybe it's not the one with the guy with the best washboard abs standing in front of a Ferrari or something, or the girl whose Instagram posts are nothing of her in a thong bent over her couch. Might not be the best place to get your diet advice, your nutritional advice. Just because the guy was on the Jersey Shore might not mean he's an expert in that space. So just my 2 cents, throw it out there. But what is the best diet? What is that secret? Here's the nugget that you've been waiting for. Well, the best diet's the one that you can stick with and aligns to your health and nutritional future fitness goals. So what that means is you need consistency. It's the one you can stick with. If you can stick with a ketogenic diet and it works for you and it aligns with what you want to do with your life, then that's fantastic. That's the best diet for you. The one that you can stick with, but it doesn't align with your goals, meaning if you're into this ketogenic diet and you can stick with the diet, but your body is not performing the way that you want to, maybe you are a super high performing power lifter and you might need a bit more carbs to help perform that way. So maybe the ketogenic diet, the way it's defined verbatim, the strict keto, maybe that's not for you. But you got to find those two pieces, the one you can stick with and the one that aligns with your goals. Now, if you're like me, and I don't plan on competing in Mr. Olympia or the world's strongest man or any of these types of things. I just really want to perform well in the gym. I want to be functional. I want to be able to run around with my kids. Want to look and feel good. Then it's kind of going to be a blend of things. And we'll talk about that as well. We start getting into your micro nutritional levels, your macros, and tracking these things. They're all really important when you're starting to talk about what's the best diet for you. So which one to start with? Okay. Where do I start? Where do you start? Here's where you start. This is it. Hold on. Yep, here we go. So this is the inner continuous improvement guy in me, but you start with what you're doing right now. You have to baseline. You need to track it. Synchronize on the calories that you're taking in. So basically what I mean is you just write down everything you're eating for 3-4 days. Make sure one of them's like on an off work day. So if you work traditional Monday through Friday, just make sure one's a weekend day. If you work, over the weekends and your day off is Tuesday, make sure one's that Tuesday. Just because, generally speaking, most people eat in a certain synchronized way during their work day versus their days that they're not at work. So you want to get a good baseline. So write down all of these things. Reason being is you really want to be able to understand how many calories you're taking in and what types of calories they are. Calories is king. It's the grand master in all things nutritional. Now, it's not the only thing, so grandmaster might not be the right term, but it's the starting point. Are you eating way too many or way too less calories? So you're starting there. Then you need to dive into the what. What types of foods are you eating? Now, before I jump into the what, tracking things. There's a ton of apps out there. MyFitnessPal. I forgot the name of a couple of the other ones that are pretty good, but there's a ton of them out there that you can, you scan barcodes and stuff like that, but that could be a sign there. If your food has barcodes, it might not be the best for you. But you want to be able to get from what you're eating to the total calories, and these apps will help you count calories. So that's a starting point. And then you just track it all down from there. Okay, so the first step is after you've done that, you've baselined, the first thing to do is to cut the shit out. I mean, all of these keto, zone, Atkins, all these different things, Mike Dolce's, everybody's diet plans all pretty much agree on one common theme. And that one common theme is you can't be eating refined sugars. You shouldn't be eating processed foods, fast foods, fried things. Cut all of that out. If you're eating that stuff, that's the first thing to go. Get rid of all of those things. Now, from there, if that stuff is in your diet, the first step is to get rid of it and then stabilize, maintain. Don't worry about cutting calories, cutting this and cutting that. First, stabilize and get that stuff out. You want a long-term nutritional fix here. You don't want to, I want to drop 20 pounds in 2 weeks and then gain 30 back after it because I've got my high school reunion coming up. That's not what we're aiming for here. We're aiming for long-term sustained improvements. So you get rid of all those things. If everybody on that that I just rattled off, all those different diets all agree that all of those refined and processed foods are crap. It's garbage. It's horrible for your body. And get rid of it. Believe me, it's awful. And that's pretty much common knowledge. Nobody's going to argue with it. So get it out. So then you stabilize. What do I mean by stabilize? Is continue to track what you're eating, but do it to the point where you can maintain not having a candy bar for your afternoon snack. Maybe you replace it with an apple. Because when I said cut sugars out, I mean refined sugars. I don't mean cut your fruits out. Don't worry about that yet. Replace an apple or a bowl of strawberries or berries or something to that effect. So stabilize. Once you can maintain that where it's not pulling teeth here or chewing on tinfoil, so to speak, then you can move on to the next levels. Next levels are really starting to get into macro and micronutrients. What I mean by that is macros are, that high level protein, carbs, fats, monitoring that type of a split of what you're eating. Your micros are really getting into your different vitamins and mineral levels and making sure that all of the micronutrients that make up that salad or that steak or whatever that you're eating, what makes it up, and you're making sure that you're getting a nice balanced spectrum there. So my perspective is after you stabilize and getting rid of all of the crap food and you're just eating, I'll call it normal, or maybe it's abnormal because most people don't eat it, eat normal food, then you monitor your macros. Take a look at what you're eating as you're tracking it. Does it fall into protein, carb, or fat? Those apps will do it for you, so you can start to take a look at your split there. And here's where you start to refine your calories as well. Really looking at what you're trying to set for your goals. If you're looking to lose fat, if you're looking to bulk up, whatever the case may be, you're going to start to want to tweak these things around. There's many different schools of thought on those balance of what percentage of your diet, like out of 100% of what you're eating, what percent should be protein, carb, fat. And that gets back to what I was saying with the keto, the zone, the Atkins, things like that. They all have their own versions of what you should do. So after your baseline piece, you can then start to tweak and monitor those based on which direction that you want to go in. I'm not going to say one is better than the other because it's all going to be about your personal body and how you perform. Keto may be fantastic again, but it may not. So I recommend kind of starting off with more of a balanced approach and then refining it. So if you're coming in blank, take a look at where you are now. A low carb diet generally is around 25% carbs, 45% protein, and 30% fat. That's a good general rule there. Your zone diet, for those of you who are familiar with that one, it's more 40 carbs, 30 protein, 30 fat. And just for frame of reference, for people who have heard keto but haven't heard this, but keto is generally 10% or less carbs, 15% protein, and the bulk of your calories are coming in from fats. It's really interesting. I've seen different swings there where that 15% of protein it can swing as high as 30, 40, even more so. But the big piece is to make sure that you're getting the premise of true keto is to try to get a lot of fat into your diet. So that's the focus there. And when we say fats, of course, we mean the healthy fats, avocados, so forth. Anyway, so back to what you should do. Start tracking where you are. Where does your split line up? Use that if you're using that tool on your phone or your computer. See where you are. Start to monitor your calories. Restrict them back or increase them is a huge piece because that is a common red flag is people aren't eating enough. But again, this all aligns to your goal, so I can't say what you need to do, but this is just all about different approaches and theories, and hopefully you can kind of learn a little bit about what to do as you're starting to plan out what your nutritional regimen is going to be. So after you start to monitor those macros and you're stabilizing in that space and you can continue to maintain that and you're making sure you're getting a nice balance or your split is what you feel like it should be, more on the low carb say, and you're still maintaining in that 25, 45, 30 type of a range. Fantastic. Then you can start to zoom in on your micros. This is where it's going to take a little bit more research. Taking a look at some of the tools that you can use in your computer and your phone will provide that information. Sometimes you're going to have to go in for different blood tests to see how your body's absorbing these nutrients and retaining these nutrients. You'll be able to start to take a look at how you're performing in the gym too, or wherever you're exercising or performing, how your activity levels are. If you're eating and you're not feeling strong, you're feeling lethargic, then we're going to have to start to take a look at what you're eating. Maybe we need to tweak something in that space. A lot of times if you are restricting your carbohydrates to a really, really low level and you're feeling as though you're losing the strength that you want, that's a key. Maybe you're going to need to increase the carb intake so your body can perform. if your body is, lowering in body fat and starting to really look the way that you want it to look, but maybe you can't lift the weights that you used to be able to lift, then that's that sacrifice going, you know what, I don't want to be able to perform at that level, but I can still, my goals are different. So having that reduced carbohydrate intake is something that is worth that trade-off. But again, everybody is different, so you're going to have to balance these things out. Always keeping an eye on your goals, taking a look at how you're performing, your activity levels, your sleep, everything. There isn't one silver bullet that's going to do it for you, but just a general guide to overall nutrition. That's your food intake. Stabilization, tracking, monitoring calories in, your macros. Stay away from the Instagram flashy stuff. You never find it in a template. That's never the answer. It's hard work. It really is. Now, I haven't even spoken about supplements. Supplements are huge. I've spoken to a couple of different, much more experts in that field than me over the course of the years. But supplements, there's some supplements that everybody should be taking just because of normal day-to-day life. It's very difficult to get that full, well-balanced micronutritional spectrum in your food. Now, I know a lot of people think you should never take any because you should get everything in your food, and that's great. That is the ideal. But we don't live in the ideal. We live in the real world, so it's difficult. Doesn't mean you need to take the supplements every single day. If you happen to have a day where you're not getting enough protein and you're kind of taking a look at what you've eaten and you realize that, you didn't get nearly enough protein, then maybe a protein shake is something that you're going to want to have before bedtime. Protein shakes, taking a look at the types of protein. There's a lot of focus on animal protein, plant-based protein, soy, and so forth. Whey isolate versus whey regular. Just the impact to your gut health. So just like with anything else, you have to track what you're eating and then monitor how your body feels. So you're getting bloated. I've spoken about this before. If you're eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables and you're feeling very bloated, take a look at that. And maybe you're going to need to cut that out. The same thing can be said for protein. Whey protein does wreak havoc on people's digestive system. Isolate is a bit better. And then there's hemp protein is also much better in that regard. It's easier on your digestive system. Supplements also mean your vitamins and minerals. It means your creatine. It also is everything else across the board. CBDs. I'm trying to think. Oh, pre-workout. That's what I was going to talk about. Pre-workout drinks. So I'm not going to talk about should you take CBD, should you not take CBD. There's enough information out there on that. Today's not the day to hit that one. But pre-workouts, I am a fan of coffee. I think everybody knows that as I'm sitting here sipping my Death Wish coffee. Coffee, this is my pre-workout. Like I have a cup of coffee and I go work out when I work out at 5 a.m. Sometimes I need it, and that's just the way it goes. Now, there are pre-workouts out there that have double, triple the amount of caffeine that are in a normal cup of coffee, a Death Wish cup of coffee, a Monster Energy drink, whatever. I'm no stranger to having a Monster every once in a while. It's really not good for you, and I know it. And it's one of those things that I shouldn't be drinking, and I don't have them that frequent, but these things like the first one that jumps to mind is like C4, and there's all these other kind of grenade or whatever pre-workout energy boosts. They've got massive amounts of caffeine in them to help get you going for the gym. Again, I'm not going to say everything in moderation. I'm going to say everything in that space in extreme moderation. You should not be heavily reliant upon having a scoop of pre-workout before every single one of your workouts. There's something else that needs to adjust. There's nothing really, I guess, hazardous or outrageously wrong with having a pre-workout now and again. You happen to have a very long day at work, or you're maybe you didn't sleep well because your kid jumped into the bed with you, or whatever. The dog puked on the floor next to you and it woke you up in the middle of the night. Come on, who's out there? Who hears me? Come on, anybody who's got a pet knows that one. But it's when you become reliant upon it for that energy, meaning if I am reliant upon a protein shake to get my protein intake, I want to get, a gram of protein per body weight, and I'm getting, 50, 60% or more of my protein from shakes. That's a problem. If I'm getting my energy boost and my motivation to go to the gym from a C4 pre-workout drink or whomever, or whatever they are. I don't want to pick on C4. I've never actually had it, but a pre-workout, a Monster Energy drink, or even potentially, a cup of coffee too. That could be a problem. You need to make sure that you're getting enough rest. Take a look at your diet. Are you eating enough? Are you getting enough energy, enough fuel for your workouts? So that's where the supplements can become dangerous. And that's across the board with virtually every supplement there is. When you rely upon it to replace the actual natural food or the natural derivative of what you're trying to get from it, whether it's, energy or vitamin or so forth, protein, that's when it can become a huge problem. So you need to watch these pieces. These things are okay now and again. Very easy to become addicted to these things. So from a supplement perspective, looking to use them to kind of plug some of the gaps as they occur sporadically, not consistently every single day. Taking a multivitamin every single day, that's one thing, versus, like I said, taking a pre-workout every single day before your workouts, post-workouts, drinks, all those things. I don't really subscribe to those types of approaches. I don't use a pre or a post. Like I said, occasionally I do have a cup of coffee in the morning before my morning workouts, but in general, no, I don't do that stuff. I try to get everything from food. Post-workout, I like to have some oatmeal, sometimes some protein, whatever shape or form that's going to be, whether it's eggs, whether sometimes it is a shake and that type of a thing. So that's food and supplements right there. We're going to have plan on having some more guests to deep dive into more specific supplements so we can talk more about them in their scientific background. We'll talk about CBDs. Maybe we'll get back, if we can get back with Jim from Absolute Nutrition Center. That was a great show. He's a wealth of information. But overall, as we're talking about building a healthier you, how do you put a bow on all of this? You got to balance all of it. It's the sleep you're getting or not. It's making sure you're getting up and moving around, besides just going into the gym and blasting yourself for a workout, or working out in your basement and then just sitting on the couch or sitting at your desk. You have to keep moving. It's all about the quality of food that you're eating. Quality of food is your first step. You have to get there. Fill in some gaps with supplements, but don't worry about that until you stabilize your food intake. And then that's where your results are. Treat yourself like a scientific experiment. Tweak the variables, watch the results. The results may be the number on the scale, the body fat percentage, how you look in the mirror, how those jeans fit, what you look like in that dress, whatever it may be. Do it. And you need to do it for a consistent period of time. Take a look at yourself week over week. Jumping on the scale every day, not a good thing. But guarantee that if you stick with these things and you tweak the appropriate manner, you're going to get the results that you want. Great to have awesome long-term goals, but also set up those key objectives that you want to get to that will show that you're making that incremental progress as well. So with that, hopefully this helped out in some shape or form for you. And we will be bringing you more experts in the future to deep dive on these topics, all about getting to a better spot for you personally. And have a great one. Thank you so much